second part of this tutorial looks at the whole idea of creating good content within your blog. We're going to start off by looking at the length of the content, and we know that you're allowed 280 characters. Just because you are doesn't mean you have to and you need to use them. Like here's a tweet coming from 2017. It's good to see the update of 280 characters on Twitter. Earlier we used to get only 140. Now the microblogging site has rolled out the update only for a few sections of users across the globe. Glad to be one of them. This will be useful for blogging. Okay. What I just want to point out is that research has shown that even though you're allowed up to 280 characters, doesn't mean you should use them. They found that tweets that are less than 100 characters have more engagement. Now that doesn't mean we always should do that, but it's just something to remember, that you don't need to jam pack your tweet with content and information. Okay, what's really important is that you know what is at the heart of a tweet, and you know what the purpose of a tweet is. Okay, and you then go ahead and you leave room for people to retweet it and put in username and comments and so on. So very important that we keep that in mind. You know, there's so many 80-20 rules, but really what we're looking at this one, the 80-20 rule, is the whole idea of etiquette of your tweeting. Now what they're saying is that, you know, rather than sell all the time, is that, you know, 80-20, in other words, 4 out of 5 times we should be providing the user with what they want: industry news, customer education, value added for our customer. And then 1 out of 5 times we should be focusing on maybe the sales of something, or how we sell it. Okay, rather than just being constantly pushing all the time to try to sell all the time. Because, you know, we've got to remember what our customer is there for. Why are they actually following us? What added value are they getting? Okay. Now, other things we have to remember straight away. Now, this is logical stuff. Engagement is higher when we tweet image links. People are 21% more likely to respond to a question. So ask the question. Okay. These are calls to actions. You know, we say that the success of a tweet is when somebody retweets it, or somebody, you know, does something like that with it. So when, you know, somebody comments on it and so on. So when we think about these things, we have to ask for them. Okay. So, you know, encourage engagement. 86% retweet rate for tweets that contain links. All right. Okay. So we're learning stuff. Images are good. Links are good. Asking questions are good. You know, asking for engagement is good. Seeking engagement is good. And then, as well as that, don't go nuts on the 200 and, you know, the 280 characters. Okay. So think about those things. All right. Customize our page. As I said, these things are really important, that we have a good header, good profile pic, good profile down below that. Okay. Remember that it's really important to start looking at these things and making sure that it looks good, not only on a mobile device, but also on a desktop or a laptop. Okay. And it's obviously important to view it on all these different devices. Okay. Now, a couple of, well, 7 or 8 Twitter tips before we kick on, right? So the next thing here is know your hashtags and your ad symbols. So really, what is a hashtag? If I said, give me one word for a hashtag to replace the word hashtag, what is it? One word I would put in there is literally keyword. Okay. And when we start looking, and when we look at the whole idea of keywords in search engine optimization, the keywords that we use in pay-per-click, we have found that it's very important not to think of just keywords, key phrases. These are really important. Like in this case here, hashtag follow Friday. So we've got to think about how many hashtags we want in here. Okay. What are we trying to do? You know, what's the meaning of a hashtag. So keep that in mind when we think about all these different things. Little one here before we move on. Avoiding hashtags on Twitter is like mumbling at a party. You are much less likely to be heard. So what I said earlier on is that a hashtag is about trying to broaden and reach a bigger audience than the one you already have. So that's very important for us to do. And we must keep it in mind here, okay? So the average number of hashtags, so you can see here, 1 to 2 is the average number, you know, and then working its way down. Remember, when we're actually hashtagging, we're eating into our characters as well. So, you know, we don't want to fill it up with, you know, gazillions of hashtags. It's different on Instagram. It's different on blogs, okay, where we're not using up all of this or this precious real estate space, okay? So keep that in mind. Tweets with hashtags receive twice as much engagement than those without hashtags. Can't add to that, okay? Tweets that use more than 2 hashtags actually show a 17% drop in engagement. Another interesting one. So really, what are we learning from this? We're thinking about, you know, it's economy of hashtags. It's economy of content going onto your tweet. I know people think 280 characters is nothing, but, you know, it's something, and it's something we have to understand properly. What's your @ symbol? What's that important for? This means a reply or calling out somebody on Twitter. Okay, so @username, really important. Okay, so use those carefully and use them well. Okay, so when you're mentioning somebody, please use them. Okay, so the whole idea here is do not put that at the beginning of a sentence, all right? Because at the end of the day, you're actually lessening your audience if you do so. So very important. If there's one simple rule from this, it's something that a lot of people do quite often, is keep your @ symbols for the middle of your content or at the end of your content, but not at the beginning, because it's narrowing your audience by doing so. 30% of tweets contain company names, don't include their Twitter handle. What are they doing? They're actually missing out on an opportunity here. So this is the equivalent of, you know, us saying, oh, you know, in the middle of a website saying click here, but not actually attaching a link to it. Okay, you're actually missing out on the opportunity. You're missing out on the level of engagement that's possible, and it might be the reason you're creating the tweet in the first place, to create the click-through rate. Okay, so don't be silly. Okay, so a couple of very simple ones here with hashtags. So if you look at you know, A Star Is Born from a couple of years ago, you know, they've got the hashtags, got the @ symbols in there. It's quite a good little tweet there, jam-packed with interaction, jam-packed with, you know, with interesting stuff. Okay, so again, you know, use it wisely. Be visual. Now, get visual. We've seen this already. We've said that, you know, twice as much engagement when we have images in there. So remember that. Okay, people love to see images. People love to see video. So you know, create good quality, engaging imagery and video. Simple as that, okay? Now, the effect of retweets, you know, okay, so when you look at this down at the end here, video URL, pick photo URL, far higher, retweets are far higher when you've got your image content, okay, and your video content. So really, you know, keep that in mind. Get engaged. Right, here's the next bit here, is the best way of getting something is to ask for it directly, okay? So with this in mind, if you want somebody to download something, say, click here to download and actually, you know, put your link in, all right? So, you know, if you want somebody to retweet, ask for a retweet. And in some cases, you know, bonus entry into a draw. People love to be in a draw. If you're not in, you can't win. People love free stuff. Okay, so even if it's a PDF, even if it's registration to something, even if it's, you know, literally they will give you their details. If, you know, don't be silly, ask for the stuff, okay? Don't be afraid to retweet, as this will help links, all right? Now, on top of that, there's something, we said an 80-20 rule. If I want to throw another one in here, a 3-1-1 rule or a 4-2-2 rule or whatever way you want to put it here, is that don't forget to retweet for other people as well, okay? Because, you know, what goes around comes around. Pay it forward. All right. So as well as that, you're helping your audience. As long as these other people are not your direct competitors, you're helping your audience to get what they want from your kind of Twitter account. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. So something to look for. Okay, ask for a follow. Ask for a reply. This is engagement. This is success. That's what it looks like. Add value. Okay, so again here I said you know, a 4-2-2 or 4-1-1 rule. In this case here, instead of the 80-20 rule a minute ago, it's the equivalent to this. So 4 times out of 6, you're actually giving people what they want, giving them the kind of information and the engagement that they need. 1 time you're selling your own stuff, and 1 time you're retweeting other relevant stuff. So keep that in mind. So keep, you know, it doesn't have to be exactly 4-1. It could be 4-2-1. It could be, you know, it could be 4-1-2. It could be 3-1-1. It could be something like that. But don't forget to retweet. Don't forget to sell your product, of course. And don't forget to provide added value. Follow well. This is really important. You know, for the number of people who turn around and say, well, I used Twitter and I didn't really get it. It's because they're not following the right things. Quite often when we go onto Twitter the first time, what we all do, well, not saying we all do it, but a lot of people fall into this little trap of following your friends. That might work on Instagram. It might work on Facebook. You know, hell, it might work on a lot of other channels, but really on Twitter it doesn't work. Unless your friends are saying lots of stuff, lots of good stuff that you're interested in. But quite often on Twitter, we're actually waiting for other people to say stuff to us and for us, okay? So follow well. Follow your interests. Follow the things that are important to you. If you follow your friends, you'll find out fairly quickly that your friends are full of it, all right? And they're not putting down a lot of good stuff. And quite often that's the main reason why people, you know, disengage from Twitter. Share the love. As I said, don't be afraid to retweet. Share the love, okay? Because what goes around comes around, especially on Twitter. It's a good place for that. Schedule well. When you look at the time of day and the days of the week that are busiest here, you see the weekend is less busy than during the week, and you see during the week from 7 to 5 it's actually busier, and then but really during the middle of the day from 10 to 1 or 2 is the busiest time. You know, just a little hint when it comes to Twitter. A lot of people check their phones on the hour. So if you want to tweet something, tweet it just before that, okay? Understand your customers. We can, you know, there's a thing called Twitter Analytics that you can get in there and you can understand when they're on. So if you know that between 5 and 7 every evening are really the times that all of your followers are on, well then that's the time you should be engaging. Best times of the hour and best times of the day, okay? Don't ignore customer service. This could be said for absolutely every channel. Just because we set up a channel for a specific reason, it might be brand awareness, it might be sales. Customer service is part of every single thing, so don't ignore it, because if you ignore it on any one channel, you're ignoring your customers. Don't do it, okay? Monitor, mention and respond accordingly. Okay. These are always on channels. Keep your eyes on your road and the hands upon the wheel. This is the words of Roadhouse Blues. Okay, what does this mean? This means control it, manage it. Okay, and again, we're looking at Twitter activity, and I mentioned a second ago about Twitter Analytics. Okay, so you can see lots of really good information about specific tweets, impressions, engagements, engagement rate. Why are some tweets getting higher engagement rate than other ones? So you start to understand what's happening. Start to understand your timing and your scheduling of tweets. Start to understand exactly what content is and which content really works for you in a given context. Okay, these are really, really important. Twitter enhancements. Okay, now these are different things. There's lots of stuff in here, widgets, and of course little tools that will help you to understand and to share Twitter properly. And finally, Twitter examples here. Now there's 3 examples here that I'm showing, and the first one is FitQuals, which is a nice little example from last year. Unique Dublin, which is an excellent example from last year, and Budget Eats, all good examples. You can see most of these are actually using white backgrounds and so on, but they all have a good design, and most importantly, their tweets are actually very strong in what they're looking for, and they include a lot of those little tips that we mentioned a second ago. So all of these examples are already up on the website and up on Dropbox. So please go to downloads and have a look at the examples for this, and to see what's good and bad about different ones. Okay, the best way you can learn about Twitter is to use Twitter and to engage with it and to see which is working for you and which doesn't work. Okay, and again, your analytics will help you in those decisions.